Y'all, the New York Times just red-pilled. They just admitted it. They just said the quiet part out loud around gun control. And I quote, even with all the gun laws and it was an armed camp, you can't stop someone who has the intent to do this. Guys, we are breaking through the dam slowly but surely. Rationality is making a playback. Everything will be linked in the description box below. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think, and you've got to send this one out because this is the cultural fight of which we engage every single day. And you can take part by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, turn the notification bell on. In fact, every time that you do, you cause someone to wake up in the middle of the night on the way to the bathroom and stub their toe, a gun controller of the leftist design, every single time like this. Just think, you could do that to every single gun controller you know and see on TV or on X just by hitting that subscribe button. All right, guys, let's get into this. We're going to jump over to my X profile at Braden LOA over there. But before I do, I want to show you one of the best examples of bias I've ever seen. All right, this is ground.news/Langley, okay? There's a description or link in the description box below. I want to show you what they're hiding from the left, okay? This is why ground news is such an important piece of a puzzle, okay? If I scroll down here, right, look at this. New York gun control advocate states tough gun laws can only accomplish so much. 12 different sources are covering it, which is small. Bias distribution is only to the right. And look at that blue. The left is only at 9%. It shows you whose ownership it is. Guys, this is important because it shows you they are hiding this from their constituents and from their acolytes on the left. Gun controllers don't want to talk about this. And then you could always go to the other feature, Blind Spot, which shows you who is seeing what on the right, who is seeing what on the left. Guys, this is an important tool. There's a link in the description box below. You can get 40% off of the Vantage subscription. Check them out, and thank you for doing that. All right, let's get into the topic here. I'm going to dive into the New York Times. And the New York Times is no friend to freedom at all. They are very, very adept at carrying the water in buckets and buckets for the left. Okay, that's what they do. There's never been a gun control push they've not been a fan of. In fact, sometimes they just make stuff up about it. But when I dive into this article, your jaw's going to drop a little bit because they're openly admitting what we've been saying for 30 years. Look at this. Even New York's strict gun laws couldn't prevent the Midtown shooting. New York has some of the toughest gun laws in the nation. We hit on that hard. But Monday's mass shooting showed their limits, security experts said. So they're going into the experts now. Okay? New York Times is saying the quiet part out loud. This is why I did a video prior which said the left is doubling down. They can't admit what's wrong in their state with their gun control laws, so they've got to externalize it to other states. They attempt to do that in this article as well, but they don't do it very well at all. In fact, watch this. As we continue, this article came out July 29th. Despite New York's stringent gun laws and the office building's tight security, law enforcement officials and legal experts said the shooting, the deadliest in New York City in 25 years, may have been all but unstoppable. Well, hold the phone a second, because I was told that common sense gun laws, the most extreme in the nation for safety of the population, would be enough to stop the crazed criminal who by definition breaks laws. Awkward. This is why they are pointing the finger elsewhere. They cannot look at their gun control laws, of which they promised this would never happen, because it happens. It's almost like criminals are going to criminal no matter which jurisdictions they're in. In fact, there's a higher allure to gun control zones and gun-free zones because there's no opponents. There's no resistance. It's easier targets. That's why I have coined the phrase on this channel all the time. Restraining the rights of the legal enhances the power of the criminal. The reason that phrase resonates is because it's true. If you take away the rights of the individuals who are not criminals, you are making them sitting ducks for criminals who don't obey the laws of which you are already promulgating. All right, let's keep going. New York has one of the most sophisticated surveillance networks and the resources to deploy a massive police response. Okay? But a piecemeal network of looser regulations nationwide enables a lone gunman with no criminal history to drive undetected across several states on his way to the city. Quote, "It feels impossible to stop something like this," Miss Blair said. Now, Miss Blair is the consultant with the security area or agency. That's the point. You cannot stop criminality with laws because they are criminals. They look for laws to break. This is why we're going to win the culture fight. That's why I need you to jump on the secondpress.co. It's a link in the description because we are going to win this culture fight. Because this level of ignorance and stupidity and sticking your head in the sand is only going to make more victims. You cannot expect criminals to obey laws. By definition, that's a contradiction in terms. It's that straightforward. But it feels impossible to stop because it is. And the more you disarm the population, the more you make them sitting ducks. That's the entire point. We aren't even going into the fact that all of your safety quest is insanely unconstitutional. I'm just going on the logic of what you're putting forward. I haven't even gotten to the Second Amendment part yet. That's way easier. Let's keep going. Mr. Tamura could have secured a semi-automatic rifle in a single day in Nevada where he could bypass additional background checks because he had a permit to carry a concealed weapon, said Nick Saplina, a senior vice president at Everytown for Gun Safety. So he wasn't a criminal and he passed an enhanced background check system and he had a permitting system. This is not good for any gun controller. No wonder they're not talking about it anymore. A national gun violence prevention group. A federal ban on assault rifles ended in 2004. Mr. Tamura could have purchased the weapon for less than $500. Completely irrelevant. Does not matter at all. They're just trying to fearmonger at this point. Through last week, there were 406 shootings reported in the city. 406 shootings in the city of extreme gun control. Down more than 21% from the same period last year and the lowest rate since 1993, or at least 1993. Here's the big game about this. They can go down this road and say, well, we've only had 406 shootings in the past, up to the last week. The point is they haven't passed any more gun control that's going to affect that. So it's a swinging variable. It's going like this. That's what they're saying. It hasn't stopped it. It's just flexing in and out with social conditions. That's why they're not touting this as a preventative, because it didn't work. Anyway, let's keep going. This right here is the quote of the day that I told you at the intro. Once somebody has a gun and is determined to do what this guy did, unless you turn the city into an armed camp, and even then it's a question, it is very hard to stop them, Ms. Glazer said. That's the point. Right there. They just nailed it. I'm going to double highlight it. That right there is so key. Once somebody has a gun and is determined to do what this guy did, unless you turn the city into an armed camp, which would mean checkpoints, which would mean military, which would mean barricades, which would mean no liberty whatsoever. And even then, it's a question. It's very hard to stop them. So here's the big question that I pose in that statement. So what's the line? Where is the line of the liberties of which you will infringe upon in order to achieve this safety when the actual security consultant just said, even if you turn the city into an armed camp, even then it's a question. The big purchase that they've done here is they say, give me your rights. This is the Second Amendment, or this is free speech. In this case, Second Amendment, but they do it with all rights. Give me your rights. Use them as a currency and purchase your safety. You will have less rights, you will have more safety, but it's worth it because that's the bargain. But then when they don't provide the safety because they can't, you still don't have your rights. You just lowered the threshold across the board. And the next time they want gun control, you got to purchase more, and then they fail more. Purchase more and fail more. And wouldn't you know it, all of a sudden, you've slipped into tyranny. That's the whole point. And I've got two more things I want to show you. Under New York's SAFE Act, he would not have been able to buy his gun, a cheaply built AR-15, sometimes referred to as a Reddit special for its popularity on the internet message board. New York law also would have prevented him from acquiring the concealed carry permit he obtained on the other side of the country. In New York, Mr. Pacino said, he should have been arrested the second he stepped out of that car. Had he been in Nevada, he would have been legal until the second he opened fire. Do you understand the stupidity of that statement? At the end of the day, he had the intent to kill people. It may have been illegal in New York. It may have been legal in Nevada. The point is, murder is illegal. That's the entire point. This whole angle of, well, if he had stepped out of the car in New York, he would have been arrested. But if he stepped out of the car in Nevada, he wouldn't have been until he started shooting people. Yeah, no kidding. The difference there is not a wide gulf. The point is, he killed people. Guys, this is one of the most frustrating things that we have to deal with, but the really phenomenal news is on the cultural level, we are winning because the very base level of common sense is being violated by these approaches that the left is bringing forward, which is why they don't want to talk about this one anymore. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you induce multiple stubbings of toes in the middle of the night on a bathroom quest, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.